Hello. If you enjoyed the story, leave your comment, give it a like and subscribe. Thank you very much. God bless you. I never thought a simple Tuesday afternoon would change everything I believed about my son. My name is Sarah, and I'm a single mother raising my 16-year-old son Jake in suburban Denver. That day started like any other. I came home early from my nursing shift at Denver General, keys jingling as I unlocked our front door. The house felt unusually quiet, which immediately put me on edge. Jake's backpack was by the entrance, his sneakers kicked off carelessly, but no sound of video games or music from his room. Jake. I called out, setting my purse on the kitchen counter. Silence. That's when I heard it, muffled voices coming from upstairs. My maternal instincts kicked in as I climbed the wooden steps, each creak seeming louder than usual. The voices were coming from our upstairs bathroom, and I could distinctly hear Jake's voice mixed with another, a deeper, older voice I recognized as our neighbor, Mr. Peterson. My heart started racing. What was my teenage son doing locked in a bathroom with our 45-year-old neighbor? Every worst-case scenario flashed through my mind as I approached the door. I pressed my ear against it, trying to make sense of the hushed conversation inside. I could hear Jake saying something about keeping it secret, and Mr. Peterson responding with, "Your mother can never know about this." The blood drained from my face. I felt sick to my stomach as I knocked firmly on the door. "Jake, what's going on in there?" The voices immediately stopped. I heard shuffling, whispered panic, and then Jake's shaky voice. "Mom? I will be right out." But I wasn't waiting. I tried the handle, locked. "Open this door right now," I demanded, my voice cracking with a mixture of fear and rage. After what felt like an eternity, I heard the lock click. The door opened slowly, revealing my son's flushed face and Mr. Peterson standing behind him, both looking guilty as sin. But what I saw next would haunt me forever. There were tools scattered on the bathroom floor, and both of them had their hands covered in what looked like blood. "What the hell is going on here?" I screamed, pushing past Jake to see the full scene. The bathroom looked like a crime scene. There was blood on the white tiles, strange tools I didn't recognize, and both Jake and Mr. Peterson looked terrified. My mind immediately went to the darkest places. Was this some kind of abuse? Had Mr. Peterson hurt my son? Or worse, had they hurt someone else? "Mom, please let me explain," Jake pleaded, but I was already reaching for my phone to call 911. That's when Mr. Peterson stepped forward, his hands raised in a peaceful gesture. "Sarah, I know how this looks, but you need to calm down and let us explain." His voice was steady, but I could see the panic in his eyes. "Don't you dare tell me to calm down," I shouted, my finger hovering over the emergency call button. "My son is locked in a bathroom with a grown man, there's blood everywhere, and you want me to calm down?" Jake grabbed my arm gently. "Mom, please. Just listen for 1 minute. It's not what you think." But I couldn't listen. All I could see was red, literally and figuratively. The blood on the floor, the guilty expressions, the secrecy. Everything pointed to something horrible happening to my boy. I had failed as a mother. I had let a predator into our lives, and now my son was paying the price. "I'm calling the police," I declared, but Jake did something that stopped me cold. He started crying, not the fake tears he used to get out of trouble, but real, heartbroken sobs. "Mom, if you call the police, you'll ruin everything. You'll destroy the most important thing I've ever done." His words hit me like a punch to the gut. What could possibly be so important that it involved secrecy, blood, and our neighbor? Mr. Peterson knelt down and started gathering the bloody tools. "Sarah, your son is a hero. What we've been doing, it's been saving lives. But if you call the authorities now, before we can properly explain, you'll not only end something beautiful but potentially put people in danger." I stared at both of them, my phone still in my hand, trying to process what I was hearing. Heroes. Saving lives. What kind of sick justification was this? Against every instinct screaming in my head, I slowly lowered my phone. "You have exactly 5 minutes to explain before I call every authority in Colorado," I said through gritted teeth. Jake wiped his eyes and looked at Mr. Peterson, who nodded encouragingly. "Mom, do you remember when I started asking all those questions about your work at the hospital? About surgeries and medical procedures?" I did remember. 4 months, Jake had been unusually interested in my nursing career, asking detailed questions about patient care, emergency procedures, and surgical techniques. I had assumed it was just teenage curiosity or maybe interest in a medical career. What does that have to do with this scene? I gestured at the bloody bathroom. Mr. Peterson used to be a veterinary surgeon before he retired, Jake began, his voice gaining strength. When I found out, I asked him to teach me basic surgical techniques. Mom, I've been learning to perform emergency medical procedures. My jaw dropped. What? Why would you need to know that? Mr. Peterson stepped forward. Sarah, your son has been using these skills to save injured animals. Stray cats, wounded birds, dogs hit by cars. Jake has been running an underground animal rescue operation. The blood, you see, is from a cat we just finished treating. She was hit by a car this morning, and Jake called me to help with emergency surgery. I looked around the bathroom with new eyes. The strange tools were actually surgical instruments. The blood was indeed from an animal, not a human. But I was still confused and angry. Why the secrecy? Why couldn't you just tell me? Jake's face fell. Because I knew you'd try to stop me. You'd say it was too dangerous, that I'm too young, that we could get in trouble for practicing veterinary medicine without licenses. Because you could get in trouble. I exclaimed. Jake, this is illegal. You can't just perform surgery on animals without proper training and licensing. But even as I said it, I could see the passion in my son's eyes. The same passion I had when I first became a nurse. Mr. Peterson pulled out his phone and showed me photos. Dozens of animals before and after treatment. Cats with healed wounds, dogs walking again, birds flying free. Your son has saved 43 animals in the past 6 months, Mr. Peterson said quietly. He has a gift, Sarah. A natural talent for healing that I've rarely seen in my 30 years of veterinary practice. As I stared at the photos on Mr. Peterson's phone, my anger began to transform into something else. Pride mixed with terror. My 16-year-old son had been performing surgery. Actual surgery. On living creatures. The mother in me was horrified, but the nurse in me was impressed. Show me the cat, I said quietly. Jake led me to his bedroom, where a small tabby cat was sleeping peacefully in a makeshift recovery area he'd created in his closet. The surgical site was clean, professionally bandaged, and the cat's breathing was steady. I knelt down and gently examined the work. It was better than some procedures I'd seen performed by licensed veterinarians. Jake, this is actually incredible work, I admitted, my voice barely above a whisper. But honey, you could have killed this animal. One mistake, one infection, and... He nodded solemnly. I know, Mom. That's why I asked Mr. Peterson to supervise everything. I never operate alone, and we follow strict sterile procedures. We've only lost one animal, and that was because it was already too far gone when someone brought it to us. Mr. Peterson appeared in the doorway. Sarah, there's something else you need to know. Jake didn't just stumble into this. He sought me out specifically because he'd been finding injured animals and feeling helpless. The first time was a kitten stuck in our fence. He spent his own allowance money taking it to an emergency vet clinic. When he realized how expensive veterinary care is and how many animals go without treatment because their owners can't afford it, he decided to do something about it. I sat back on my heels trying to process everything. My son, who I thought was just a typical teenager obsessed with video games and social media, had actually been running a secret animal hospital. How many people know about this? I asked. Jake and Mr. Peterson exchanged glances. More than you might think, Jake said carefully. What do you mean? But before he could answer, I heard a car door slam outside, followed by another, then another. Jake went to his window and peered out through the blinds. They're here, he said, turning to me with an expression I couldn't read. Mom, there's something else we need to tell you. Something that's going to change everything. The doorbell rang, followed by a gentle knock. Jake looked at me with nervous excitement. Mom, the reason we've been so secretive isn't just because of the legal issues. It's because of who's been helping us. He ran downstairs to answer the door, and I followed, my heart pounding with anticipation and dread. When Jake opened the door, I couldn't believe my eyes. Standing on my front porch were Dr. Martinez from Denver General, my supervisor, along with 2 other doctors I recognized from the hospital, and behind them, a woman in a business suit carrying official-looking documents. Hello, Sarah, Dr. Martinez said with a warm smile. I think it's time we told you the truth about your son's extracurricular activities. I stared at her in shock. You knew? You all knew. The woman in the suit stepped forward. Mrs. Thompson, My name is Jennifer Walsh from the Colorado Department of Agriculture. We've been monitoring Jake's work for the past 3 months. My legs felt weak. Monitoring? Is he in trouble? Are we all going to jail? But Dr. Martinez laughed. Actually laughed. Sarah, your son isn't in trouble. He's about to become the youngest recipient of the Colorado Youth Innovation Award for his contributions to animal welfare. Jake beamed as Ms. Walsh continued. What started as an underground operation caught our attention when veterinary clinics began reporting a significant decrease in emergency animal cases in your neighborhood. When we investigated, we discovered Jake's work. Rather than shut him down, we decided to support him. Support him how? I asked, still reeling from this revelation. Dr. Martinez pulled out a folder. Sarah, we've been working with Jake to create a legal framework for his activities. He's been accepted into an accelerated veterinary program at Colorado State University, with full scholarship. Additionally, we're establishing the first-ever teen animal emergency response program, with Jake as the pilot participant. I looked at my son, who was practically glowing with pride and excitement. You mean, all of this secrecy, all of this hiding, it was because you were setting up something official? Jake nodded. We wanted to surprise you, Mom. We wanted to make sure everything was legal and legitimate before we told you. Mr. Peterson has been mentoring me, but he's also been documenting everything for the State Review Board. Ms. Walsh handed me the official documents. Mrs. Thompson, your son will be the first teenager in Colorado history to be certified as an emergency animal care specialist. He'll work under licensed veterinary supervision, but he'll be able to legally provide the services he's already been providing. As I read through the papers, scholarship letters, program descriptions, legal certifications, tears began streaming down my face. My son, my supposedly typical teenage son, had not only been saving animals but had impressed state officials enough to create an entirely new program around his abilities. There's one more thing, Jake said softly. Mom, they want you to be part of the program too. Your nursing experience combined with what I've learned could help us save even more animals. We could work together. I looked around at all these people, officials, doctors, my neighbor, my son, all of whom had been keeping this incredible secret to protect something beautiful. I had walked into that bathroom thinking I was discovering my worst nightmare, but instead, I had discovered that my son was already becoming the man I had always hoped he would be. So, I said, wiping my tears and looking at Jake, when do we start?